ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवती अष्टादशाध्यायिनी अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणी. We enter into the last section of the Bhagavad Gita. As you all know, the Bhagavad Gita is seen as 3 sections. To take the mahavakya tattvamasi, so the tvam-pada is dealt in detail in the first section, the tat-pada in the second section, and the asi-pada in the third section. It's not that asi is dealt only with the third section, or tvam or tat in their respective first and second sections. But you'll find there's a predominant focus. So the self becomes the focus in the first 6 chapters. The Lord becomes the focus in the next 6 chapters. And the Aikya, the oneness, that is the focus in the last of the 3 sections. Now, if you take the Vedic context, now we saw through the mahavakya, if you see through the Vedic context, karma, action, and its rahasya, so to say, of karma yoga, they are dealt with in detail. Even while the tattvam-pada is taken for analysis in the first 6. Now, upasana, that is looked into great detail in the second section. And Jnāna is looked into, is taken up for greater detailing in the third section. So thus the Bhagavad Gita is seen through the eyes of the mahavakya tattvamasi and also seen through the essential teaching of the Vedas. So thus, when we begin the third section, starting from chapter 13 onwards up to chapter 18, so you see that the focus shifts. Right, the 13th chapter starts straight with the mahavakya. We shall be seeing. So in 12th chapter, Bhagavan took up upasana to help and assist all varieties of seekers. Now coming to those seekers who seek liberation, who have the capacity also to go through the path of knowledge. The 13th chapter is begun. how is this Brahmatmaikya Vijnana possible? Katam Brahmatmaikatva Vijnanam. That is the main topic. Now in that, other subtopics. What is this Brahman? Kim Brahma? Kaha Atma? These are all subtopics. Now when you say Atma, what is Anatma? And when you talk of Anatma, what is the bondage that comes out because of Anatma? And when you say bondage, how is it removed through knowledge? Katam Jnānena Nivartate. And when you say knowledge, what is knowledge? And when you say knowledge, what is the means to acquire that knowledge? Jnāna sadhanam. And if you say, through this knowledge, liberation is attained, what is this Jivan Mukti? What is this liberation that you are talking? So, in this way, the entirety of the essential Vedantic knowledge is provided in the 13th chapter. In the 13th chapter, few words are used. Terms are brought into. One is Kṣetra, another is Kshetrajña. Kṣetra Kshetrajna. Kṣetra and Kshetrajña refer to the Anatman and Atman respectively. This Anatman is what is generally known through the term Prakṛti. And Atman is what is known through the term Purusha. So the entirety of the Vedantic teaching is provided through this analysis and differentiation of Atma, Anatma, or what you would say as, the differentiation between Prakṛti, Purusha, or to use the terminology of the 13th chapter, between the Kṣetra and the Kshetrajna. Now, in the 13th chapter, first the essence of the teaching is given, and then that very same Kṣetra and Kshetrajna are analyzed in great detail, in order that one is able to come to the essential unity of the self and Brahman. So the Kṣetra Kshetrajna Viveka, Atma Anatma Viveka. Remember, even though we say Atma Anatma and we say Kṣetra Kshetrajna, Atman is not Kṣetra. Okay? When we create these samasas, we always use a shorter word first. So Kṣetra Kshetrajna, Atma Anatma, like that. So, through the process of Kṣetra Kshetrajna Viveka, or Kṣetra Kshetrajna Vibhaga, the whole Vedantic teaching is revealed. And that is why this chapter is also called as Kṣetra Kshetrajna. What is the word? Vibhaga Yoga. Vibhaga is same as Viveka. So that Sankshepa, and then you have that Vistara. So initially, Bhagavan gives the Sankshepa. Okay? Now, let us take the first verse and then we will read.
Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha. Adha Trayodashodhyayaha. Kshetra Kshetrajna Yogaha. Shri Bhagavanuvacha.
Bhagavanuvacha.
Idam Shariram Kaunteya. Kshetramityabhidhiyate. Yedad yo veti tam prahuhu. Kshetrajña idi tatvidaha. Shri Bhagavanuvacha. Idam shariram kaunteya. Kshetramityabhidhiyate. Yedad yo veti tam prahuhu. Kshetrajña idi tatvidaha.
So you know the term Prakṛti, right? Earlier, which Prakṛti was referred to as Apara Prakṛti. Not Para Prakṛti, Apara Prakṛti. This Para Prakṛti is Kshetrajña. Apara Prakṛti is Kshetra. And this Apara Prakṛti, whenever we use the term Prakṛti, we are referring to Apara Prakṛti. Prakṛti, when we say Apara Prakṛti. But within Prakṛti, if you say Apara Prakṛti, then you are referring to Kshetra. Para Prakṛti, then it becomes Kshetrajña. This Prakṛti, when the Sattva, Rajas and Tamas are in Samya Avastha. What is Samya Avastha? Samya Avastha is when it is in, all of them are in a neutral position. Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, all of them are in equilibrium. Then we call it as Prakṛti, in equilibrium. Now, that very same Prakṛti, what you would call as Apara Prakṛti, right? That very same Prakṛti, for the Bhokta, through the Bhokta's very same Adrishta. What is Adrishta? Adrishta is, Adrishta means what is not seen. Action is seen, thoughts are seen, but the results of those actions and thoughts, what are they? They are Punya and Papa. They are not seen. Therefore, Punya and Papa are called Adrishta. So the Bhokta, the Jiva, as per the Punya and Papa, meaning as per the Adrishta. But Punya and Papa by themselves cannot function because they are Jada. And therefore, through that Īśvara Prerana, through the will of the Lord. So now you have two factors. For the Jiva, that Prakṛti which was in Samya Avastha is activated to come to expression. Activated to come to expression through two factors. Factor 1, Punya and Papa of the Bhokta, the Jiva. And factor number 2, the Īśvara Prerana. So, with this, what happens? That Prakṛti which was in Samya Avastha gains what is called as Guna Vaishamya. That is the term used. Guna Vaishamya. Guna Vaishamya means what? That equilibrium is broken. In Pralaya, how we said, Sattva, Rajas and Tamas are all in Samyavastha. And when it is time for creation, then this Prakriti undergoes Guna Vaishambhya. Okay? And then we give a separate name for that Prakriti. We call it as Pradhana. Prakriti is called Pradhana. You know that, right? So when is Prakriti called Pradhana? When the Guna Vaishamya is there. From Samya Avastha, it goes to Guna Vaishamya. Pradhana means predominant. So Srishti is predominantly, what is Srishti? Tamah. It is Tamas. Therefore, it gains that ascendancy of Tamas for the sake of creation. So, through Adrishta and through Īśvara Prerana, what happens to this Prakriti? It gains that Guna Vaishamya and it becomes ready to cause Bandha as well as Moksha. It becomes ready for both. How Bandha? By generating that Sukha and Dukkha Anubhava, the experiences of joy and sorrow. Prakriti becomes the cause for Bandha. And now, by also becoming the Sukha and Dukkha, right? Ajnana, of course, but also manifesting as the noble gunas, Viveka, Vairagya, Shama, Dhamma and all. Now those are all evolving from Sattva. That way it becomes a cause also for Moksha. So Prakriti becomes a cause for Bandha, Prakriti also becomes a cause for Moksha. This very same Prakriti also manifests itself as Deha, Mana, Buddhi, Prana, Raga, Dvesha, Shama, Dhamma. So Prakriti's manifestation are all these. Not only that, Prakriti alone becomes Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa, Gandha. So the Vishaya. And Prakriti alone becomes all the avasthas, Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti. In this way, the entire manifestation that we experience is what? Is Prakriti, right? And then what we say? Prakriti and Prakrti. Prakriti and Prakrti. Prakriti is Prakriti. Prakrti is what? The manifestations of Prakriti are called Prakrti. So thus, the whole experience that we have, all of them are what? All of them are captured under one broad, simple word, Idam. Idam is this. So what is Idam? Idam is the Prakriti and Prakriti Vikara. The Gita chapter 13 starts with the word Idam. Idam. So when you say Idam, what are you referring to? Idam is what is experienced. Anubhuyamanam. Idam, experience. What are you experiencing? You are experiencing the entire Karya Kāraṇa. Prakriti as Kāraṇa, and you are experiencing Prakriti as Karya. So when you say Idam, you can also say Karya Kāraṇa Lakshanam, of the nature of effect and cause. So Idam. Now, next word you see. Idam Shariram. Hey Kaunteya, Idam Shariram Kshetram iti abhidhiyate. Idam Shariram. Now remember, the word Idam is the whole entirety of experience. Whole entirety. So Prakrti and Prakṛti, you can say. So Prakrti and Prakrti's effects, all of them are captured by the word Idam. Yes, all of them are Idam, but coming to the microcosm, coming to the Vyashti. So Idam is both Vyashti as well as Samashti, but come to the Vyashti. And when you come to the Vyashti, what happens? Idam Shariram. It becomes Sharira. The entirety is Idam. But coming to yourself, coming to the Vyashti, the individual, it becomes what is called as Shariram. Now when you say Shariram, here again, Shariram is referring to all that you experience. All that you experience a gross body, you experience a subtle body, you experience a causal body. This whole realm of experience that you have is called what? Is given in Shastra a term, and that is Kshetram. Kshetram. Iti abhidhiyate. It is given a term. Kshetram, you don't think Kshetram is farm. Because when we say Kṣetra, we refer to farm. That is what the word means. Farm, land. Farmland is called Kshetra. No. Idam Shariram Kshetram iti abhidhiyate. So why it is called Kshetram? Kṣiyate anena iti Kshetram. By enabling raga, dvesha, and the various from that, once raga, dvesha, sankalpa, raga, dvesha, and all of them are there, then what happens? Action is there. And with action is there, punya papa is there. And then what is there? Suffering is there. Kṣiyate anena iti kshetram. Because of which the person goes through suffering. That is called Kshetra. Now that is Prakrti expressing through various aspects of bondage. Kṣiyate. Now, that is not the only way of functioning of Prakrti. Prakrti also leads to liberation. Therefore, Kṣayat trayate iti kshetram. Kṣayat. Kṣayat, from sorrow and suffering, from samsara. By generating in our hearts viveka, vairagya, shama, dhamma, etc., what does Prakriti do then? Kṣayat trayate. It protects you from samsara. So that is also the way of the functioning of Prakrti. Therefore, and where does the Shama, Dhamma, Uparama, all those values come about? They come only in this. And therefore, this is called as Kshetra. So why it is called Kshetra? The whole realm of Idam, right? The whole realm of Idam is Prakrti and Prakriti's Karya. Now, go to the Vyashti. Then it becomes Sharira. When you say Sharira, you are referring to the gross, subtle and causal body, all of them. Now, all of them are called as Kshetra. Why are they called Kshetra? Number one, Kshiyate, Anena, Iti Kshetram. That because of which there is suffering. Then, that because of which there is liberation. Kshayat, Trayate, Iti Kshetram. Also, the very well-known meaning of Kshetra is farmland. So, Kshetravadu, like a farmland. Kshetravadu. Acharati, that which behaves like a farm. Now, what do you mean that which behaves like a farm? In a farm, we sow seeds, we sow whatever we want to sow. And then we reap the grains. Where there is sowing and reaping continuously happening. Sowing and reaping continuously happening, where we sow actions and reap their results of joy and sorrow. Non-stop it happens. Some aspect of the farm also is lost, but there is some aspect which is retained also through that Janma Marana cycle. And we keep on reaping. We become Karta and then we become Bhokta. Karma and Karma Pala. And therefore, Kshetravadu Acharati, that which behaves like a farmland, that is called Kshetra. Idam Shariram Kaunteya Kshetram iti Abhidhiyate. So this is the term the Shastra has given. This is the term the wise people have given for this Karya Karana Sangata, which is also part of the Idam of that entire Prakrti. So therefore, what is Kshetra? Kshetra is the Prakrti and Prakṛtam. Okay? Prakritihi Prakṛtam cha sarvam drishya jatam, all that is experienced is called as what? Is called a Kshetram. So what is Kshetra? Now, Kshetra must be seen from the context of the Samashti as well as Dveshti. Right? So whatever is Idam, that is finally Kshetram, and whatever is Idam from the standpoint of Vyashti, then it becomes what? Shariram. Idam Kshetram, Idam Shariram Kshetram. Are you able to see that line properly? Idam Kshetram. So when you say Idam Kshetram, what it refers? It refers to the entirety of Prakriti and Prakṛtam. Prakriti, Prakṛtam. Do you understand these two terms? Prakriti and Prakṛtam. What is Prakṛtam? Karya of Prakriti. So Prakriti and Prakṛtam is equal to Idam, is equal to Kshetram. That is the whole Samashti. Now come to Vyashti. Now when you come to Vyashti, what is Kshetram? Idam Shariram Kshetram. Now, why do you call Shariram as Kshetram? We said, what are the reasons? Reason number 1, Kṣiyate anena iti Kshetram, Kṣayat trayate iti Kshetram. And what is the third one? Kshetravat acharati iti Kshetram. Idam shariram kaunteya kshetram iti abhidhiyate. What is Kaunteya, you know? What is Kaunteya? The son of Kuntri. It's Kaunteya. Idam sharira, Arjuna, hey Arjuna, idam shariram Kaunteya kshetram iti abhidhiyate. All right, clear. Now what? Etat yo veti Kshetrajña. Etat yo veti. Let us go to etat yo veti. Etat. So etat, what is etat here? Whether it is a samashti or whether it is the vyashti. Now when you say samashti, what are you referring to? You are referring to Prakṛti and Prakṛtam. And when you are referring to vyashti, what are you referring to? You are referring to shariram. And when you say shariram, you are referring to Sthūla, Sūkṣma, Kāraṇa shariram. So etat yo veti. Etat yo veti means what? All these things are jada and they will not know. They are inert. All these do not have the capacity to know. So, etad yo veti, that which is Jnana Swarupa, and which etad, the very word etad, when you say, etad means what? Etad becomes what is experienced. Etat anubhuyamanam, what is experienced. Meaning, they are not the experiencer, they are only the experienced. Etat yaha. So, yaha veti, that which knows. That which knows means what? That which has got svabhavika jnana, which is essentially of the nature of knowledge, which is not borrowed knowledge. Svabhavikena. Sometimes it may feel that body is also knowing, the mind is also knowing, but really speaking, they are all the known. Etat yo veti. Yo veti, yaha, one for whom all these are objects of knowledge. Yo veti. Veti vishayikaroti. Etat yo veti. Like veti means what? That in whose comprehension you have this body. Idam shariram. Idam chakshuhu. This is the eye. Now these are the experiences. This is the mind. This is the thought. This is the prana. This is shabda. This is sparsha. Remember, both the vyashti as well as samashti. In other words, the entirety of experiences. What? That which cognizes the whole variety of experiences, including that which is called as ahankara. Even that is cognized. So that which knows all of them, that drik which knows, for which drik the entire becomes a drishya. That is called as what? That is called as Kshetrajña. Kshetrajña means what? Kshetram janati iti Kshetrajña. That which knows. That which knows, that which is aware of. That which is the Sākṣī. That which is the Drashta. That is called as Kshetrajña. But the very same Kshetrajña, even though it knows, and therefore Drik and Drishya have to be different, nevertheless, because of ignorance, it appears as being identified with the Kshetra. Really, it cannot be one with the Kshetra because it knows. The knower and the known have to be different. Even though the knower and the known are different, yet sometimes, even though it is different, it appears as one with the known in imagination. Which is imagined to be one with the known, but really speaking, which is different from the known. Therefore, that etad yo vetti shows in truth what it is and in appearance how it is. Etad yo vetti tam prahuhu. That is being spoken of as what? Kshetrajña. That is called a Kshetrajña. In essence, which is different, but in appearance, which seems to be one. That truth is called as Kshetrajña. Idam shariram kaunteya kshetramityabhidiyate etat yo vetti tam prahuhu kshetrajña iti tadvidaha. What is tadvidaha? Tadvidaha is those who know the Kshetra and the Kshetrajña. So tadvidaha, they are the knowers of the Kshetra and the knowers of the Kshetrajña, both of them. Tadvidaha does not mean only Kshetrajña vidaha. The knowers of the Kshetra and the Kshetra. In other words, those who know the difference between Kshetra and Kshetrajña. Those who have done the Viveka. Those Jñānis who have seen the difference between Kshetra and Kshetrajña, they give these terms, Kshetra and Kshetrajña. So now, you see one is dependent, another is independent. What do you mean dependent and independent? The known is dependent on the knower. So one has got a dependent reality. And that which knows doesn't require to be known, because that which knows is possessed of knowledge by which it knows. And therefore, that which knows is Svaprakāśa. So, then you have something which is Svaprakāśa, and then you have something which is Paraprakāśa. Meaning, one which is independent and another which is dependent. And that which has got a dependent existence is Mithyā. That which has got an independent existence is Satya. And therefore when you say Kshetra and Kshetrajña, Kshetra becomes Mithyā and Kshetrajña becomes Satya. So, idam shariram kaunteya kshetramityabhidiyate. That means what? That which is mithya. Etadyo vetti tam prahu kshetrajña iti tadvidaha. That means what? That which is Satya. Are you seeing how one is Mithya, one is Satya? Why it is Mithya? Because it is known, it is Mithya. Right? How? Because it is known, it is Mithya? Yes. How? Because that which is known is paraprakashya. It is illumined by something else. And when it is illumined by something else, it means what? For its existence, it needs illumination. And if for its existence, it needs support and presence of something else, then it becomes what? Dependent presence. And that which is dependent for its existence, for its presence, that becomes what? That becomes Mithya. Then on what it depends, that becomes the adhisthana, that becomes the substratum. So on what it depends upon the Kshetrajña. Therefore, Kshetrajña is adhisthana and Kshetra is adhyastha. And therefore when we say, Idam shariram kaunteya kshetramityabhidiyate etadyo vetti tam prahuhu kshetrajña iti tadvidaha, then what happens? One becomes Satya, another becomes Mithya. One becomes adhisthana, another becomes adhyastha. The Kshetrajña is what is called, what was termed earlier as Prakṛti. Remember Prakṛti, Prakṛti? And what was said about Prakṛti? Sutre manigana iva. It is a substratum for the entirety. What was that word Sutre manigana iva? Matta parataram nanyat kinchidasti dhananjaya. Look at that word. Matta parataram nanyat sentence. Kinchidasti dhananjaya. Why? Because the apara prakriti requires para prakriti for its very presence. And therefore, other than me, nothing is there. No, but can't you not say that other than you, that adhyastha is there? No. You cannot say adhyastha is there. Why adhyastha is not there? Because adhyastha is only dependent presence. Mai sarvavidam protam sutre manigana eva. Therefore, this para-prakriti, this Kshetrajña is Satya, and this apara-prakriti, this Kshetra is Mithya. By saying that is Idam, when you say Idam, Idam means what? Anubhuya manam, which is experienced. That very first word, Idam, states that Kshetra is apparent. But etadyo veti, there is something which gives life to it, because of which it is present. That which gives life to it, that adhisthana. That adhisthana is what? That adhisthana, Kshetrajña, is Satya. So this very first verse, is very, very deep. Idam shariram kaunteya kshetramityabhidiyate etadyo vetti tam prahu kshetrajña iti tadvidaha. So, those who know the truth of the Kshetra and Kshetrajña. Now, when we say the truth of Kshetra and Kshetrajña, please don't think the truth of Kshetra and Kshetrajña is those who can differentiate Kshetra and Kshetrajña, as though Kshetra is something separate, Kshetrajña is something separate. Therefore, those who know one from the other, those who know one from the other as one being the adhisthana, another being adhyastha, one being real, another being false. In other words, Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithyā. Idam shariram kaunteya kshetra mityabhidhiyate etad yo vetti tam prahuhu kshetrajña iti tadvidaha. And then Bhagavan says, now he gives a mahavakya. Okay? Let's read the next verse.
Kshetrajñam chapi mam vidhi sarvakshetreshu bharata Kṣetra Kshetrajna Jñānam yatta jñānam matam mama Kshetrajñam chapi mam vidhi sarvakshetreshu bharata Kṣetra Kshetrajna Jñānam yatta jñānam matam mama.
So you have the principle of consciousness and you have that which is inert. Right? You have two. Now Bhagavan says, Kshetrajñam chapi mam vidhi sarvakshetreshu bharata. Kshetrajñam, that principle of consciousness, that which is para Prakṛti, that which is illumining, that which is of the nature of consciousness. What are you talking of? Kshetrajña, not Kshetra, Kshetrajña, that principle of consciousness. Kshetrajñam mam vidhi. So you have Kshetra, you have Kshetrajña. Right? Kshetrajña is that consciousness. And what is Kṣetra? Idam sharira. Yes. Idam jagadapi Kṣetra. Yes. Now, Kṣetra, Kshetrajña is there. In this, Kshetrajñam mam vidhi. This principle of consciousness which is illumining the entire Kṣetra. Hey Arjuna, know that to be me. Kshetrajñam mam vidhi. Now when you say Kshetrajñam mam vidhi, is it Kshetrajña only in you? Sarvakshetreshu bharata. Meaning, Kshetra may appear different, but Kshetrajña is one. Sarvakshetreshu Kshetrajñam. That principle of consciousness in every Kshetra, in every Sharira, in every Sthūla, Sūkṣma, Kāraṇa Sharira. Right? So that Kshetrajña in all beings is the one Lord. Sarvakshetreshu, plural. Okay, plural. So different bodies. Kshetrajñam, one, singular. Sarvakshetreshu Kshetrajñam ekam, one. Know that to be mam. No mam? Know that to be me, the Lord. In other words, I am Atma Brahma. The mahavakya. Prajñānam Brahma. Yatiryang naradevataadhipi ahamityanta sputagrihyate. Right? So in all the beings, sarva kshetreshu means what? Brahmadi stamba paryanteshu. From the highest to the lowest. From that creator up to a small plant. Sarva kshetreshu, that principle of life, I won't say life, that principle of consciousness, that which causes even life. It causes life if there is Sūkṣma Sharira. If there is no Sūkṣma Sharira, in that Sharira itself, if Sūkṣma Sharira is not there, then it doesn't express as life, but nevertheless, which is present everywhere as asti, bhati, priya. Life is not because of consciousness. Life is because of the presence of the subtle body. The presence of life does not prove the presence of consciousness. The presence of life only proves the presence of the subtle body. That which, where subtle body is there, expresses as life. And there where subtle body is not there, which is still there, as that principle of consciousness, as asti bhati priya. So sarva kshetreshu sthavara jangameshu. Right? Are you getting? So when we say sarva kshetreshu, you should not think in all living beings. Sarva kshetreshu, in all sthavara jangameshu, in all chara achareshu. Sarva kshetreshu kshetrajñam mam vidhi. Right? I am that principle of consciousness in all beings, in all kshetra. I am that pure existence. I am that pure consciousness. I am that pure asti bhati priya everywhere. Ka vayu agni jalor vishu. Right? Remember? Dridrishya veka. What differs? Nama Rupa differs. What does not differ? Abheda Satchidananda. That Kshetrajña I am. Kshetrajñam chapi mam vidhi. That very principle of I which is illumining. That self which is illumining everything in you, that I am. In other words, Tattvamasi. But very interesting, Bhagavan does not say Kshetrajñam mam vidhi. Yeah, Bhagavan says Kshetrajñam mam vidhi because Kshetrajña is Satya. Right? But you see that word, next word you see after Kshetrajñam. Kshetrajñam chapi. Yeah, what is chapi here? Kshetrajña also. No, there are only two things. What is also here? Kshetra also is me. But Kshetra is me not because I am Mithyā. I am Satya, therefore Kshetrajña is me. But that Mithyā has no existence because Mithyā is finally what? Mithyā is only an apparent presence of the Satya. Therefore, Mithyā should not be counted as separate from me. Mithyā also resolves into me as me. Kshetrajñam chapi mam. Bhagavan is not saying Kshetra is me. He is not saying that. Bhagavan is only saying Kshetrajña is me. But then he indicates that the Kshetra has no existence apart from me. And therefore, Kshetrajñam chapi mam vidhi. Are you able to see that? So this is not the Dvaita. There is Kshetra and there is Kshetrajña. And who is Bhagavan? Kshetrajña. What is Kshetra? That belongs to devil. No. The Kshetra is only an apparent manifestation of me. It is not there. And since it is not there, in truth, therefore, it dissolves into me. Purnamadaha Purnamidam. That is Purna. This Idam, Kshetra, is also Purna. Kshetrajña is Purna. Kshetra also is Purna. But where from this Kshetra has come? Purnat Purnam Mudachyate. It is an apparent manifestation. And because it is an apparent manifestation, it will not remain forever. Purnasya Purnam Adaya. Then what will be there finally? Because you added one infinite back to that infinite, do you think there are two infinite? No. Why? Because that is false. So what will be there now? That truth, reality, which is Purna. Purnameva avashishyate. So what all has been spoken now? Brahma Satyam, Jagan Mithyā, Jivo Brahmaiva Nāparaha. This is what Bhagavan Shankaracharya says. Shlokardhena pravakshyami yaduktam grantakotibihi. I shall tell you in half verse what has been explained by all the crores of scriptures. What is that? Brahma Satyam. Now use the words of Bhagavan Shri Krishna and say Brahma Satyam. What will you say? Kshetrajñam Satyam. Jagan Mithyā. Kshetram Mithyā. Jivo Brahmaiva. Kshetrajñam chapi mam vidhi. Kshetrajñam mam vidhi. What happened to Kshetra? That is also me. Where that is also me, is said. Chapi. Chapi? Cha api. Also. And the Kshetra appears to be many. Sarva Kshetreshu. That is why plural is used. Reality is one. There is no plurality in reality, but there is plurality only in falsity. And identified with the falsity, reality appears as many, that's all. But reality is always one and one alone. Ekameva Advitiyam. So this, what we have discussed, Arjuna, is what? This alone is knowledge. Which alone is knowledge? Kṣetra Kshetrajna Yoga Jñānam. The knowledge of the Kshetra and the Kshetrajña. What is the knowledge of Kshetra and Kshetrajña? There is Kshetra and there is Kshetrajña which knows. This is not knowledge. What is the actual knowledge? The actual knowledge is there is only Kshetrajña. Kshetra is apparent. Kṣetra Kshetrajna Yoga Jñānam Yat, that which is the knowledge of the Kshetra and the Kshetrajña in the way we have explained, Yat, tat Jnānam. That is Jnānam. That is Jnānam means what? Everything else is Ajnānam. Everything else is Ajnānam means what? Including the comprehension that there is one self illumining another actually existing some body. No, that's also ignorance. There's only one knowledge. What is that knowledge? That there is only one Kshetrajña, which is reality. All the Kshetra is only apparent, Mithyā, and this Kshetrajña is the Bhagavan, and the Kshetra is falsified. This is Jnāna. Bhagavan is very humble. Matam mama, in my humble opinion, this is Jnāna. Matam mama. And when Parameshwara says, when Bhagavan says, this is what I think to be knowledge, then you should not think he is like another person. I think it is like that. Huh? We say, I think, this is my thinking. You can have your opinion, but this is what I think. It's not like that. This alone is a Shastra Nirnaya. This is the truth of all the scriptures. This is what is termed as Paravidya of the Mundaka Upanishad. Paravidya. Everything else is Aparavidya. That is a euphemism for saying it is ignorance. You know what is euphemism? Kshetrajñam chapi mam vidhi sarvakshetreshu bharata Kṣetra Kshetrajna Yoga yattadjnanam matam mama. So rightly, Bhagavan uses the word Bharata for Arjuna here. Bha means effulgence. Bha means light. Bha means consciousness. Bha means knowledge. Rata is one who revels. One who revels in consciousness. One who revels in knowledge. One who is not cheated by ignorance. So this is the whole essence of the entire Shastra. Then what to say? Should I say this is also essence of Bhagavad Gita? No need to say, right? This is the essence. And shall I say that this is what is going to be elaborated in the whole 13th chapter? Naturally. The entire Shastra is an elaboration of this. What else to say? Okay. We'll conclude for the